Hi everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of November the 16th, 2020. This horoscope is brought to you by 1millionnights.com. We have a very active sky playing out all throughout the week, but this is where things are going to feel very dual, and it really depends on us personally how things are going to be playing out in our lives, because this is where it can mean absolutely anything, and it really depends, well, on one hand, on our lifestyle, on our psychological configuration. And since so much is going on in the sign of Scorpio, for example, on the 15th, we had a really powerful super new moon in that part of the sky. So the sun and moon are there, Mercury is in that part of the sky, and the sun is sextiling all the Capricorn planets. Mercury is opposing Uranus. And at the very end of the week, Venus is going to enter this part of the sky as well. So that puts a great emphasis on this. And since the ancient ruling planet of this sign, Mars, just went direct, it greatly amplifies its scorpionic symbolism. So everything will also depend on our past, how we lived through the past, our past life experiences, and our willingness to go with the flow and transform, regenerate, heal, and step into something new. So what I'm trying to say here is, for some individuals who have found inner empowerment, who have found their own coping mechanism, psychological stability, spiritual openness, which basically gives a sense of optimism and hope regardless of the situation, well, those people are definitely going to embody patience and just look and witness, observe how things are quickly changing, evolving, reconfiguring on the world stage. And they will know that very soon a moment will come when everything that is going on out there is going to affect their lives as well. And this period of observation gives them a chance to prepare themselves, to make plans, or at least anticipate what they're going to be doing very soon. Now, for other people, this is going to be, and I'm really sorry to say this, but I don't sugarcoat my horoscopes. This is definitely going to be the dark night of the soul, where the night is going to be the darkest and coldest. This is nothing compared to 2019. This is the real deal. Because just last week, the Pluto and Jupiter conjunction perfected itself. So we are still going to be under the heavy influence of that energy. And we must not forget that Saturn is also a perfect part of that picture. So both of these planets are also conjunct Saturn, just not in a perfected way. And Capricorn can be interpreted as, our earthly existence, who we are, what we are, how our lives are, how our purposes, life goals, destinies, the story that we have to play out on this earthly plane. And Pluto and Jupiter, is forced change together. It is a very strong and profound energy, both materially, physically, for some people, their health, and naturally, psychologically, and spiritually as well. So, one way to interpret this energy is poverty, scarcity. And it doesn't even have to be physical, even though for some people under the present moment circumstances, it is really obvious that it's gonna be, literally poverty. They will lose their jobs, economy collapses, authorities fail us, so, it's pretty obvious. But for other people, it's gonna be a different kind of poverty, where they may have all the riches, all the material well-being in the world, but they will feel internally, inside, emotionally maybe, spiritually, like the poorest people in existence. Because, when your world just enters, descends into chaos, and everything, the value systems, and everything that you loved and held dear is no longer relevant, then, what good does your material security, well-being, even if you are very successful, what good does that do you? Because, you can tell your mind that everything is okay and I'm still valuable, I'm still okay, I'm still going strong. But can you tell your spirit, can you tell your soul that? Because your soul knows that when everything changes, then, what you think as value also changes regardless of what your mind tells you. Like, let me give you one example. Let's say that you're very successful and none of this global turmoil affected your business, and, things are even going better for you financially, let's say. But, you're surrounded with really, really sad, depressed, fearful, hopeless people. And, basically, how can you enjoy your success and everything that you have when you have no one to truly share it with? Even if none of this affected your loved ones, your circle of friends, your social circle, so to speak, well, it's just like a toxin, like a cancer, like being inoculated by a scorpion. Scorpion, how ironic, the sign of Scorpio. The poison will get to you sooner or later, and it's not going to be material, it's going to be psychological, because none of your well-being will be worth anything when the whole world around you suffers. Yes, of course, you can be grateful for what you have and your own personal safety, but it still takes away the joy, it still takes away the pride. So, one way or another, this Pluto and Jupiter conjunction is still poverty, scarcity, and, being out in the cold, vulnerable for all of us. It's just a matter of our own personal configuration, the setup of our lives, but in one nuance at least, all of us are going to be feeling this. All of us are going to be feeling the powerlessness, where our hands are totally tied and we're stuck in a vortex where we just don't know where it leads, and we're helpless. It just drags us along. It just washes us where it wants to. It's like being caught up in the gravitational field of a black hole where we're past the event horizon, so there's no turning back, but we don't even know the final destination because it's singularity. We just don't know when, how, in which circumstances. Now, naturally, it is just a feeling. It is just how we may perceive this for the moment, as in right now, in the eternal present. This doesn't mean that it's gonna destroy the world and our happiness and our hope and everything. It is just the energy of now, because of course this energy also has a really positive expression, because it leads to profound change. It leads to a state where we are never, ever, ever, may it be individually or collectively, going to be repeating this ever again. That is why this celestial conversation in this configuration is so very, very rare. We are doing this work for the long-term future. For even centuries to come. We may not repeat this ever again. So that is why it is so very intense that all of us, regardless of who we are, how wise, how intelligent, how open we are, how sophisticated we are, we can still, just extract the lesson, the essence of what is going on and why is it going on. And the answer to the question why, now it's so very obvious, and of course it can be seen from so very many different perspectives. Socially, our collective karma, our ignorance, technology taking over even, things that should not be susceptible to it, the flaws in our political systems, the flaws in democracy, every, social injustice and, inequality that we tolerated and we turned a blind eye to. And of course, one of the biggest lessons here is that us as in humanity collectively traded in, the chaos of life, the sense of adventure, being from very many different perspectives vulnerable for a sense of security. So we traded our freedom, we traded our time, we traded our lives, we traded our free arbiter even for, like social security, to have this kind of insurance, that kind of insurance, to have an income, a steady and stable income, forcefully to be part of society which offers us a certain kind of security, groundingness, and the sensation that we are not alone regardless of what happens. But it is only now when this conjunction, and of course the Pluto and Saturn conjunction, which took place on the 12th of January 2020, revealed to us just how fake and illusionary all of that was. And it forces us to ask the question, was it actually, or is it actually worth it? And of course, it's not just about this global conflict, because in the lives of some people, this might have nothing to do with it. For example, for some people, it can manifest as a divorce. Like, are you willing to go solo and abandon your security? Or are you willing to tolerate the not so pleasant emotions and the repulsion for the sake to be okay materially? Or a job, are you willing to do the same thing over and over again, which makes you profoundly unhappy and makes you feel like a slave, for that stable income, for you to know 100% that you have what to eat tomorrow? And of course, vice versa. Are you willing to give up your freedom and your principles and enslave yourself and get a job because of the fear that you'll starve? So in this case, the lesson is idealism and following principles worth, dying for, worth suffering for? So, this very profound Plutonic energy surfaces in all our lives one way or another, whatever that Pluto, so the shadow, the inner devil, is for all of us personally, individually. And this is a moment of truth when, like it or not, we still have to confront it. We have to look it in the eye and give ourselves, give our own beings, our souls, the answer to all these questions. Is it worth it? And more importantly, how does all of this transform me, change me? How is it reconfiguring my life and my inner value systems? And of course, those who are really have a lot of life experience, better said, so they have a certain kind of wisdom and openness, are going to process it this way. So they're always going to seek the answers to even the most philosophical questions. They're always going to look for some kind of solutions, even if they have a lot of strings and compromises attached, because they will just refuse to look at this as just pure misfortune or divine punishment or disaster without any possibility to escape. They will always want to see the higher meaning of this, and when they see the higher meaning, they can also either logically, rationally, or intuitively see the solution or potential solution. But for others, especially who are really vulnerable, who are alone, who are really frightened and scared, well, this has depression and a very wrathful spiritual, psychological crisis written all over it. So my advice is that next week, until this energy persists and it is so very strong, and of course, as you're gonna be listening to this a little bit later on, there's another energy which just adds to this a lot. the best possible solution is to stay detached. You are not your thoughts, and regardless of how, blocked up, stagnant your life is, you must believe that, we have an active Mars already, and Uranus is opposing Mercury, so both of these aspects, even if they're not very pleasant, they are dynamic, so something is definitely coming to change this, either a communication or an idea, an epiphany, or maybe a desperate solution, it doesn't really matter. Or it can even represent that authorities or society or external reality is gonna find something to help us to break our own personal stagnations or whatever is most acute in our lives, and help is gonna be there, and we don't really have to wait years or ages or whatever. It's gonna be quick. But, because of this dual energy and because of this strong plutonic activity, next week is gonna feel like, well, the whole world is moving, as in there's so much chaos out there, and yet ironically, our own personal lives are in standstill, are frozen solid. Nothing seems to move, nothing seems to change, or if it does, it just keeps getting worse. But don't get sucked into that, because that is just an illusion. That is what our shadows, what our fearful and wounded primordial instincts want us to believe. So we must not give in to fear, we must not give in to depression, desperation, we must not abandon hope, because just around the corner on 21st of December 2020, both Saturn and Jupiter enter into the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is the celestial expression of hope, of the future. So that will represent solutions, a new beginning, or at least being able to see more clearly than ever before the light at the end of the tunnel. So just hold on for a little bit longer, because things are definitely gonna get better, because they just have to. And also, Aquarius is the ancient ruling sign of Saturn, where Saturn is actually much, much more benevolent than in his other home sign of Capricorn, where he is right now. As we can see, Saturn in Capricorn, restrictions, crisis, our rights being ignored, all of the compromises and sacrifices and very, very hard work that we have to do. The ancient, especially the ancient alchemists, saw Saturn in its home sign of Capricorn as the greatest evil. It brings disease, destruction, pain, hurt, depression, depravity. So, they always associated something really, really hard and negative to Saturn in Capricorn. And even astrologers today call it the Great Malefic. But that is why it's so very hopeful, because just on the 21st of December 2020, it moves signs and it goes into a part of the sky where it is not malevolent. It is all about, solidarity, sharing, humanitarianism, responsibility, duty, diligence that all of us need to embody for the greater good. So it will definitely bring out the very, very best from all of us. And the part where it represents limitations, because that is something we can never ever dissociate from Saturn, well, those limitations are actually going to serve the greater good. So it's gonna be not that bad. Like, for example, it can represent that the richest of the richest have to sacrifice some of their wealth to provide, all of us with a basic income for the simple fact that we exist as human beings. This is just one example. And naturally, all throughout 2021, Saturn is going to be squaring Uranus from Taurus. So Uranus is the modern ruling planet of Aquarius. So that is old and new values clashing, it is a friction between the two, but that friction gives birth to something harmonious and new and revolutionary, where partially it incorporates the old values and tradition, everything that is beautiful and healthy, so that will remain, but everything that is no longer up to date has to change and be discarded. So Uranus, the planet of the future, is definitely the dominating power, and in the sign of Taurus, it definitely ultimately changes our value system. But of course, I'm going to be speaking more about this in the upcoming horoscopes and 2021, of course. So let's get back to this week, where, as I said, we are all going to be under the influence of this really strong and heavy energy. So please stay hopeful and do your very, very best to detach and cope. And of course, Mercury in Scorpio is going to be opposing Uranus once more. So this will mean revelations, secrets being exposed, subconscious purges, psychological purges, shocks and surprises, and many times it can also represent like cyber attacks, internet-based businesses being blocked or losing or being attacked. It can also mean shocking secrets or disclosures seeing the light of day, which are going to be triggering very powerful emotional reactions from all of us. But there's so much positivity, a good side to this energy as well, because it can also mean scientific progress unexpectedly, instantly, in a flash of an eye. Like for example, that vaccine. A vaccine is so scorpionic, because on one hand it's substance, and that substance is due to our studies, our investigations, so Mercury and Scorpio. It can also represent scientific progress, discoveries in totally different scientific areas, maybe archaeology, maybe cosmology, maybe genetics, etc. And since, at the same time the ruling planet of Scorpio, Pluto, conjuncts Jupiter, well, this represents justice, trials, courts, and, a secret being exposed. If we add this picture together, well, maybe a world leader or highly influential people globally are going to be standing trial for something that they did which reaches daylight. But another very important energy is really beneficial, because Neptune also trines the Sun in Scorpio, and this is dreams, this is vision, premonition, intuition, your unconscious energies coming to help you, divine guidance, and of course, the healing properties of music, art, everything that is beautiful and can inspire our souls and even our unconscious minds. And another expression of this energy can be meeting people from the distant past who meant very, very much to us, and something really positive, uplifting, or helpful was born from that relationship regardless of its nature, and that can repeat once more. And also, another very positive influence, while the Sun is sextiling Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, so the Capricorn clusterum, which is really, really good for visibility, so to speak. Because if Scorpio is everything unconscious, the secrets, everything hidden in the mists, well, the Sun there sextiling these planets, if we want to seek the truth, especially the inner truth and what it means for us personally, we have all the chances for everything relevant and, which is really useful to us to reach us, and for us to embody it, integrate it into our inner truth. And even though Neptune still squares the North Node in Gemini, which is confusion, which is not being able to discern truth from half-truth, from false truth and deception, this energy makes it no problem at all, because our inner psychological strength can just tell us, well, it's okay not to hold the absolute truth. It's okay to be confused certain times, because it's not just us confused, it is the whole world, so what do we expect? And also, this is the energy of faith, of mysteries, of magic. This is where whatever we program into our unconscious can simply manifest. So this gives us a very strong alchemical potential, because the sun is creation, self-expression, creativity after all, and the Capricorn planets, well, those are manifestation. Pluto, the great alchemist, Saturn, the lord of karma, the planet responsible for physical manifestation, and then Jupiter, the planet of expansion. So what a powerful cocktail of energy that we have. So regardless of how, our lives and situations are physically, this is dream, 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 hope, have faith, because it is definitely gonna have effect. One way or another, this sextile is really potent and powerful. And the trine that Neptune provides from its home sign of Pisces, well, that is the power of the source. So it is like you co-creating whatever you dream or fantasize or hope about, hand in hand with the creator, with the source of all things. So once again, I have to repeat this. It doesn't matter how bad, doomy, gloomy, hopeless, desperate the situation looks like materially, physically. This energy gives us the power to move mountains with our inner strength, with our faith, with our belief, or simply with our fantasy, with our power to overcome everything emotionally, not to give in to the negativity. So we must use this right now, because this is the saving grace in our lives. And also, if we ignore the rest of the planets, just the sextile between the Sun in Scorpio and Saturn in Capricorn is already a really strong metaphysical energy, because if we look at the Sun in Scorpio as our desires, but the desire which we know perfectly why we want it, how we want it, when we want it, why it is important to us, so that means that we can just focus on it with everything that we got. Well, that's like instantly injecting a seed of intent, a very strong, sovereign, divine intent into the universe. So one way or another, it has to manifest, that Saturn has to give into our desires, regardless if it's right or wrong, or if it meets Saturn's criteria. One way or another, it has to allow it. But of course, there's also an element where all of what I said is too good to be true, right? Well, under next week's sky, there is an energy which might cause certain problems, because Venus in her home sign of Libra holds squares with all the Capricorn planets, which automatically means that T-square, Venus, Pluto, and goddess of discord and rebellion, Eris. And if Venus is our joy of life, Venus is the purity of our thoughts, and in her home sign of Libra especially, the love for equality, equilibrium, justice, etc. Well, this can really, really stir us up emotionally, and it can bring out that inner aggression, that inner rebel Eris. So embodying emotional stability and, staying detached from all the drama, may it be the collective drama or our own personal dramas or all the problems, or, Venus in Libra, all of our relationship, the other people in our lives, regardless of who they are, they might really, really irritate us, trigger us, agitate us, project their own dramas, insecurities, problems onto us. And this can really, upset us or make us lash out, make us determine us to make really unwise choices. For example, terminating the relationship there and then instantly without thinking it through, even if it is like a 20-30-year-old relationship. So again, I must say, next week is not a very good week to make sudden, impulsive, rage, anger, vengeful based decisions, especially which have to do with relationship of any kind, even if it means terminating a job, even if it means, breaking a contractual relationship, even if it means just lashing out, retaliating, speaking your mind without any filters. So, when Venus is so very, very aggressive, and especially that Very soon she will reach 29 degrees of Libra, an erratic degree. But because of those squares, that might represent victimization tendencies. That might represent big moments of drama, feeling like the whole world is against us. But this is just a quick and temporary energy. No matter how much people irritate you, anger you, annoy you, dissatisfy you, let you down, wait until making a very important decision. At least wait until next week. Because once Venus exits her home sign of Libra and enters into the sign of Scorpio, where she is not able to bring out her very best qualities, you are not going to be as angry, you're not going to be as agitated. Venus in Scorpio kind of means that it's all under the surface. It's not that active, it's repressed, it's a little bit wishy-washy. Regardless if it's a strong desire, passion, or if it's anger, rage, or hurt someone caused you, it is not going to be as predominant, as active as when she's directly aggressed in her home sign. So just wait until Venus enters Scorpio, and there things can settle down and you can have all this time to think it through, make tactics, maybe consult other people, or analyze yourself. It is also an energy of psychoanalysis, where you can just sit down with yourself and ask yourself, why does it hurt? Why does it anger you? Why does it dissatisfy you? And that can lead to a totally different mindset, attitude, and decisions. And even though Venus in Scorpio is somewhat illusionary, it is really associated with self-deception, when your desires may have a really strong grip on you. And it can also be the expression of jealousy, envy. Why not me? Am I not good enough? I should deserve this as well. But she will immediately hold an opposition with Uranus, planet of truth, so that will make sure that we don't deceive ourselves, and like it or not, we are going to be staying in truth, or in authenticity, in how things truly are. And also Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, so it can also mean disclosures, communication, news, unexpected news reaching you. So that can also be a really good addition, because maybe you are going to find out things that you are lacking in the present moment, regarding what to do with all those relationships. And it's not just Venus who is going to be changing signs. The Sun on the 21st of November is entering the sign of Sagittarius, activating this part of the sky, which has so much to do with long distance travel, international affairs, the foreigner, cosmology, our life views, our perceptions about existence, our highest philosophies, higher education, specialization, which is also a really, really good sign, because after the Sun enters the sign of Sagittarius, a lot is going to be happening in that part of the sky. And that is where solutions, at least in theory, ideologically, mentally, are born, and those solutions are usually miraculous. So what happens after? Well, there is going to be a lunar eclipse in Gemini, which means that the Sun from the sign of Sagittarius illuminates the Moon in Gemini. Then we also have a new moon, which is also a solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius, which is massive, because that will truly open the gates of the future from a technological, scientific, and philosophical perspective for all of us. Now, that new moon in Sagittarius is truly sci-fi energy. Of course, it's not instant, but over the course of the next six months, well, space travel, technology, scientific discoveries, and all of that. So basically, it is like a huge quantum leap of all of humanity from a technological, ideological, and cosmological perspective. So what I personally would expect and associate to this energy is like groundbreaking cosmological discoveries like deciphering dark matter or particle physics, space travel, reaching distant worlds, discovering distant worlds, new communication methodologies, maybe that 5G or even an upgraded version of 5G, new propulsion systems, and a lot of astrologers do say it can also very well mean communication with maybe extraterrestrial beings or non-human intelligence, but this is highly controversial. It may not change our lives radically there and then, because it is something that will affect humanity as a collective, and if they develop a new propulsion system which can reach the speed of light, let's say for example, well, that may not really change my life personally that much, that may not really end my drama or my solitude or whatever, but it's still gonna be a quantum leap that will drag all of us into that future, so it very well might change our lives radically in the years to come. But of course, all of that is gonna happen later on. The 14th of December is when this Sagittarian new moon takes place, and around 30th of November is when the Gemini lunar eclipse is bound to take place. And to finish this horoscope, there is another inspirational energy in the sky where that Mercury in Scorpio is also going to be holding the trine with Neptune. So that means emotional intelligence, that means healing, forgiveness, coming to terms with everything good and bad that happened in your life, healing traumas, accepting very hard to face truth, coming to terms with the past, and even being emotionally strong enough to just accept that it happened and there's nothing we can do about it and it's fine like that. So there is a lot of healing potential here, and also a wonderful and fantastic inspirational energy for artists, for singers, writers, poets, painters, even spiritualists. Mercury trining Neptune is always visions, dreams, being able to see the future, the past, or when all timelines merge into one. It is tapping into our inner alchemy, into our spiritual power. So it's really, really good energy, as long as we can stay detached from the drama, of course. And last but not least, Mercury is also going to be holding a quincunx with Mars. So Mars in Aries definitely represent our desires, our goals, our wills, whatever we want to accomplish. And a quincunx in conjunction might say that some solutions, some progress is gonna be very unexpected, or that which doesn't really meet our expectation or how we imagine things to play out. But regardless, every opportunity, no matter how unusual, how strange, how unexpected, how outside of our comfort zone is something that we can work with. So next week, when it comes to solutions, communications, options to get what we desire, regardless if it's solving a problem or a new beginning, a new project, a new job, expect the unexpected and work with whatever destiny life gives you. And also communicate, speak, project what you want on the outside, even if it's just a Facebook post, even if it's just telling a friend, well, look, I would really like to do this, I would really be happy if this happened to me, if I get a job or whatever. Communicate, because you never know where a solution might enter in your life. So this concludes the horoscope. Thank you so much for listening, and I must repeat this, even if I sound like a broken record. It doesn't matter how bad and painful and desperate and hopeless things may feel like, there's light at the end of the tunnel 100%. So just tap into your inner strength, into your spiritual power, into your faith, into your belief, into your own truth, and just believe whatever you need to help your situation, to help your life, to break the stagnation into existence. The sky is so strong in this sense. So just snap out of the drama, snap out of that mindset that, well, look, this is what physical reality shows me. It shows me that I'm powerless. It shows me that I'm unworthy. It shows me that I'm blocked, that I'm poor or whatever, that I'm not needed. It doesn't matter what it shows you, because this is exactly the moment when it is you who have to project what you truly want and not the other way around. So no matter how tough and strong the limitations in your life are, just believe them away, if that makes sense. Don't give in to the drama, don't give in to the pain. You are not your thoughts. You are what you hope that you want to be. So give power to hope, because it will definitely not let you down. Yes, it may not come instantly, but remember that Sagittarian energy, the new moon, and of course the South Node is also there. All the lessons of the past, all the wisdom that we can embody, all of our life experience, our faith, each and every time in our lives when our faith did manifest, when it did prove to us that we were right to believe. That is the most positive expression of the South Node. And very soon, Mars, going direct in his home sign, is going to hold a trine with that South Node. So whatever we believe, what we shall create. So, in conclusion, please stay hopeful and believe no matter how tough and desperate things may seem. Thank you once again. If you'd like a personal reading, please just log on to 1millionnights.com and find your dedicated advisor. So until next time, bye for now.